And welcome once again to Living in the 21st Century. Joining me again is Rupert Bergmann from Austria, a baritone. Rupert, it's a pleasure to have you on again today.
Yeah, great. Great to see you again after a couple of weeks.
You know, something really caught my attention this morning when I was looking through your information.
Unfortunately, my video froze now.
Okay.
I don't hear you.
Oh, I'm sorry. So I was saying there's something that really caught my attention, and that's your barefoot lifestyle and its spiritual meaning. Would you care to elaborate a little bit on that?
Sure. Sure. Well, I have been walking barefoot for quite a time, meaning barefoot in open-toe sandals, etc., for over 20 years, and yeah, it's just a convenience. It is also there's a health aspect with it.
Yes,
and also a kind of spiritual thing going on. But talking about barefoot. Totally barefoot, meaning no shoes at all. I have decided about 4 years ago to do that constantly all year long. And it has for me those aspects I just mentioned. You know, it is good for position. You know, for foot health, meaning for the building up the strength, muscle strength, and also for resisting cold and some things like that. I almost never have a cold, yeah. But there is also this spiritual aspect for me coming with it. You know, I'm a little attached to the Franciscan spirituality and historically Franciscans were walking barefoot and nowadays mostly in sandals, of course. And what does it say? It says humility. It says things not I don't know so well to express it in English, but refusing things, refusing much wealth or much, you know, this aspect is also for me poverty. You know, poverty is one of the of the three vows the Franciscan friars do, and of course this associations that say to a simple life. Yeah, that's it. Yeah? And of course,
very humble and full of humility.
Humble, humility. That was the word.
That's the reality.
I was just looking for. And of course, there's the social aspect. Like you, it triggers you to ask me to start a conversation on this topic. And
absolutely.
And sometimes if I go to a shop or somewhere else, and people see me, I have some nice conversations, and I explain now, as I do it with you now in this moment, and people, perhaps some people think me to be an idiot or to be crazy, yeah. But maybe others think, what? Why is he doing that? And maybe I could think. I even had people telling me, well, I have to try it by myself, you know.
Yes.
Yes. Of course, I'm not a fanatic. I must add, I'm not a fanatic. There are situations where I of course consider if people would mistake it like on a funeral, for example, then I look for my sandals.
Yes. Yes, definitely. You know, there's something I want to really touch into today, and I would like you to elaborate a little bit on that. And that's your religion related to arts, music, and theater projects over the past 5 years on Moses, Job, and Paul.
Yeah.
Especially Job.
Especially Job, yeah. Yes. Okay. No, you know, I since I've decided for a couple of years to reduce my more traditional theater work I had done, like operetta and musical and contemporary opera. I thought, what can I do if I want to enrich my spiritual life with it? Yes. What can I do to feed more or less both sides, And then the idea was to look into for me personally interesting figures in the scriptures, and to make to turn the stories of those into little music theatrical or music only pieces, and perform those pieces on festivals. This was the original idea with the Calling of Moses, a piece I initiated 5 years or so ago, and a local friend, a local composer, a Bulgarian-born female composer, Tsveta Dimitrova. She wrote for me this piece. Well, I put together a text collage from the book of Exodus, and then it was meant to be well promoted on a festival in Ukraine, in Odessa, where I went for very, very many years on a regular basis. So this was the first of those religious pieces which I initiated, and it was very exciting. In spring 2019, I went there and met the world premiere, and from there on, I said, well, this is an interesting concept for me to combine religion and music, and my music theater actually. So the 2 years later, and then COVID hit, and COVID meant performances, thinking about new ways, new paths to go for performers. And then the idea was, then I had the idea, well, I could combine a live performance or the recording of a live performance with some video parts which I shoot extra somewhere in some sites or buildings or whatever what is needed, or outdoors. And this was the second project in this row on Job, and I really was fascinated. I dug rather deeply into the story and made also a text collage from the whole book of Job. I put together the text about for a mini mono opera, as we call it, of about 20 minutes or 22 minutes. At the end, it turned out that long, and it more or less I took the frame story. The frame story in the book of Job is that God and Satan. Mm-hmm. They have a bet over Job, more or less, meaning that God, that Satan says God, asks God to, if he could, if he is sure, if Job would be confident, would be to him, and God says, well, you can try, mm-hmm. you will see, mm-hmm. only save his life.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. Sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. And
I always get excited about Job. Go ahead.
Sorry.
I always get excited about Job's story.
Yeah. I think you like it.
Oh yeah. Go right ahead.
Yeah. It's very interesting because it's so contemporary. Actually.
Yes.
There are so many jobs job, hopefully many jobs today, not jobs but jobs.
Exactly.
So I then took the French story and of course then as a narrator on the stage, then I appeared as a narrator, tell this introduction and then turn into job and with not totally naked but almost.
Yes.
And because it says naked, I came out of my mouth
yes,
naked.
of course we know.
But, yeah. So and then I tell basically in a monologue. I tell the story. There are not the three friends coming in, and of course I don't show God. I don't like to do that. God always appears indirectly. That I talk to God. This was the same in Moses. Moses then talks to God and repeats what God has told him. So and at the end of this piece, Job or Pain and Salvation of Job was the whole title of the piece. Then the narrator comes back and tells, well, now Job has succeeded and God was right. Yeah. So this whole thing, the music, of course, was written by an American Russian composer, which is very interesting from now because I performed it also in Odessa, and Anton Rovne is his name. He wrote a very nice music, contemporary, of course, atonal, but we had the idea to take some music of Georg Friedrich Händel, which is a very famous Baroque composer who used this famous line, "I know that my Redeemer liveth," yes. Which comes from the book of Job, and we used this music also in a little shortened, not the whole aria, in a little shortened part. So there is this atonal thing of contemporary music, and in the middle there suddenly starts a Baroque aria, which is a quite nice contrast. And I went with this piece to Odessa in before the war. This was in summer 2021, and I recorded it with musicians there, with the ensemble with whom I always work when I go to the Ukraine, and still will be working hopefully in a couple of months from now, and this was one part, and the other part was I wanted to do a more, not say realistic, but things which I could not do on stage. I was also inspired by all those paintings, famous paintings of different centuries, painted Job in almost naked, as it is said, and he sitting in his destroyed house or whatever. So I wanted to have a optic thing that reflects that, and then I've in late 2021, back in Austria, I went with a very good videographer, video filmer, to an outdoor place near where I live, and kind of ruins, and I draw and we shooted a couple of scenes, and then I combined this with this recording from Odessa with the scenes I made in here in Mödling, and I think it turned out to be quite nice, and this combination of I jump back and forth between the both recordings. So and another aspect which is maybe interesting for the English speaking viewers, and there are probably only English speaking viewers, since the composer was his mother tongue is English, of course.
Yes.
He suggested it also not to take an English translation of the Bible text of the Book of Job, and he proposed not to take one of those many modern versions, but the famous and but many people still loved King James version from 1611. Mm-hmm. Which of course is for nowadays ears a little old-fashioned, but still for me as a not English speaker, it has a very special sound and value, actually, and I was glad we did it. It of course it was still even more difficult for me to learn by heart, because I had, of course, on stage to sing by heart. Right. But with a couple of months of training, it turned out quite nicely. Wow. And it is available on YouTube. There is an English version without German subtitles, and a second version with German subtitles for my German-speaking audience. So please go to my, if you're interested, YouTube channel, Leifra Cantor, or search for my name, Rupert Bergmann, at YouTube, and you will find it.
Yes.
Yes.
Do you have a different inward feeling when you act out Moses, Paul, or Job, opposed to acting out a piece of Shakespearean? Is it something different about the acting?
No, from a point of acting, I don't think so. I mean, acting is acting. Mm-hmm. If you play a fun character in a comedy, or like Tevye, or if you play a biblical personality, there are, especially in music theater, there are things you have to go along with. You have to know where the conductor is, and this. I mean, of course, a difference is maybe if you are like myself, a religious person, you maybe are able to dive more deeply into the roles, or to have a deeper understanding. It is not only acting. It is not only pretending things. Right. You know, it is really finding big parts in yourself. I mean,
yes.
It was with my Moses, which I was talking before. It was in these years I was on a journey of finding back to my religious roots, you know, and the calling, even the word, you know, the calling of Moses was important, and I stepped very deep into this story, and since the story of this piece of the Moses was about the bush, the burning bush and already as as a student at a high school, I had caved a lino cut like this.
Yes.
Like this. This is actually the original lino cut I made back then, you see, when I was 13 years old or so. And so it was nice for me to go back to this after about 40 years or so.
40 years ago, okay. Yeah, but you got like
coming back to the aspect of acting and singing a role like this. For me, the technical aspect was not is not so different. Maybe since I by myself with these projects, I'm not only the actor but also the librettist, the guy who is putting together the gigs, who is thinking about the concept. I'm more involved than a normal singer or actor would be involved in a theater production. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. We're coming down to the last 4 minutes, so I want to ask this question briefly. Tell us about serving as a lector and cantor and amateur organist at Franciscan Catholic Church, Parish Church. Just give us a summary of that.
Yeah. We have not this official title like the Jewish people have in their synagogues. There is a very important lector and cantor, but we also have this service people in the mostly lay people who do this, and that's what I'm doing at our local Franciscan parish. There, during the Catholic service, and in the word part, so to say, there are always read two readings by lay lectors, female and male. Actually, we have much more female lectors in our parish than male lectors.
Yes.
And there is also in between there is the psalm, and the psalm is sung or can also be spoken. So when I'm present, I am singing the psalm and the hallelujah, and that is actually what I do 1 or 2 times a week. Sometimes I do it also during a weekday service. So it is, and I'm sometimes also accompanying myself on a little organ. We have 2 organs and a small organ. So this is so it is very diverse. Sometimes I'm only cantor. Sometimes I'm the lector. Sometimes I'm the organist. So I have a couple of roles. But this is basically the same in all of the Catholic. Catholic churches around the world,
Well, Rupert, we come down to the last 2 minutes. So if there's anything you want to conclude in saying within the next minute, please feel free to say so.
Yeah, I'm very happy that we saw we're talking again after so many years.
That's right.
Yeah, as I told you, my sister is living in the States, still living up in north of Boston.
Okay.
And I'm not really sure if I will make it over the next few months or so, or during this year back to the States. It is always a question of scheduling and unfortunately since 2019 I was not there. COVID was really difficult for traveling,
Yes, it was.
But I really would love to meet again in person.
Well, definitely.
If it happens that I come back.
Yes, of course we would. Definitely, I would appreciate that in a million.
Yeah, for your viewers.
Sure, definitely. We probably have an in-studio interview then. Rupert, I want to say it's a pleasure having you again. We're at the last few seconds now. So until then, take good care of yourself. We'll keep in touch. And for all those who have been tuning in, I want to say thank you so much for watching Living in the 21st Century.